Hey everyone, Mango7Roll here. How we doing today? Welcome to another episode of Why Are We on MapleStory? Oh, that's right, drama! I've been watching a lot of K-dramas lately. If you're looking for K-dramas to watch, something like Business Proposal, I really loved it. I had me cackling the whole time. It was so good. But this is a different kind of Korean drama. This is Korean drama within mobile games. Specifically, a animation studio called Pupuri. I don't know how to say the name. P-P-U-R-I. And it involves a lot of the gacha games we play. So, for example, most things done by Nexon that have animations, Epic 7 as well. And there's a ton more in that thing. There's so many Nexon games, right? And there's so many gachas that go to the same studios for their animation. So, let's talk about this. So, any other content in question? So basically what he is doing is completely taking down and revamping everything that studio has done, and you're like, that doesn't make sense. So let's read this one. I think these two are the important paragraphs. So this is Changsop, and it also said he has never seen Changsop this angry before. And it also has to do with this here. Do note, I saw in the comments that he did not actually say feminism on this. Obviously, feminism is a thing that is fine and okay and good. But radical, when you attach radical to something, that's never good. So why is it radical? Let's see here. So he says, myself and IP director Wonky wish that MapleStory is a game that everyone can enjoy regardless of gender, nationality, all generations of family. Not just us too, but all developers work with this mind. But with recent issue, we take this moment to reflect and look back. We weren't good enough for many people to enjoy the game, or at least for one to not feel comfortable in the game they play. I believe that all I had to do was pretend that these hateful cultures and people who hate me and make fun of me were nothing and not there. Unfortunately, I was complacent and thought it was easy to stick to these beliefs, but it is not as cut as dry as I thought it was. From here onwards, we will do our best that any of these hateful behaviors or negative cultures will not affect our game. We will make sure everything will be checked in detail and everything will be actively edited and changed, even if it has a small glimpse of these hateful messages. These cultures of directing hate towards other people do not have a place in Maple, and we will never allow such things to step into the game from now on. They say anything Pupuri related outside of MapleStory as well are being investigated company-wide. Games affected were MapleStory M, Dungeon and Fighter, and Blue Archive. They will be taking as much action as possible to Pupuri and people responsible for this on a full-on company level. I believe this meant disciplinary and legal action. Yeah, I imagine. So this is a summary here. It says it sounds ridiculous to everyone outside of Korea, but it's taken extremely serious in Korea. Korea is a very weird place. Their cultures are very, very odd and accepting for some things and very unaccepting for other things. And usually stuff like I actually don't want to get into it. I don't know enough. I've heard enough and heard enough from people I trust, but I don't want to get into it. Let's skip that part. So basically, yeah, this is the one I wanted to read. It was pointed out the director never mentioned feminism of any sort and referred to it as a culture of people of hate. Feminism overall is a good movement, but people who radicalize to hate and discrimination just ruins it for the actual meaningful movement. I believe Nexon treats it more of a misandry, hate against men issue, and other forms of hate culture other than misandry. I don't know how to say those words. So you're like, this is weird, right? What's going on? So there's an explain like I'm 5 for sure. So they found some people that worked on MapleStory content and other content like Epic 7, I believe, including the new AB revamp to be affiliated with radical feminist ideology, which is a very insane branch of feminism that relies on violence as opposed to the actual reasonable liberal feminism. Remember, these are not my words. These are me reading somebody's comments. And they've been sneaking in this one hand gesture that is apparently taken very seriously in Korea and is used to belittle med. The directors are panicking and pretty much deleted a bunch of shit, and they're probably suing for lost time and money. Yeah, so here's the thing. So if it's true, basically what they're doing is they or the people specifically doing this are in a radical feminist group. I don't know what to call it. And they sneak hand gestures and things that support their group and are actively used to hate against men in Korea into frames of Epic 7 and other games. I don't know about Epic 7. Again, we're mentioning that because we play it. But specifically, it was put in MapleStory. So it's very hard to catch, too. And it might just be like a regular thing, right? That is super subtle. It's like the little thing that people do, right? Like this, that thing where you look down and you see it. Like that. So because most of it are hand gestures made by transitions between frames, it isn't exactly a hand sign meant to be that. More so just a coincidence, which, by the way, the sign itself resembles this emote. So like this or something. I find this entire debacle ridiculous, and I think Korea... Oh, this is let's read this one. So this is a humble student. I'm a Korean who's lived abroad for half of his life. I think I can give a pretty balanced perspective to explain to foreigners what's going on here. There's also a comment in the Epic 7 one over here, which we'll read in a second. While I find it completely ridiculous that companies are calling their employees on fucking Sunday to search for the hand gesture frame by frame in every single animation and design that hired studio worked on, there's actually a pretty good reason why they're panicking right now. This wasn't the first time something like this happened. Last year, GS25, one of Korea's major convenience store franchises, was accused of designing posters and advertisement containing the gesture, along with other symbols that are used among radical feminist groups. I was barely aware of gender conflicts in Korea back then, but I designed posters and motion graphics myself, school clubs, and even I thought these designs were pretty weird at first and second images. Okay, so yeah, that's the gesture. And notice what it's like a little hot dog there, like a very tiny hot dog. And this is the second one here. I don't see anything here, but yeah. Oh, this one here. So these two, yeah. So there's that. The second revised image was that the same designer made after Backlash. Apparently, the random-ass crescent moon and stars are similar to the symbol of a radical feminist club in SNU, Korea's most prestigious university. On the flip side, the moon and stars design was used in an older related ad, so some are saying that this is unrelated to the feminist club, but I'm still scratching my head over why the designer inserted this graphic in the revised poster. And while I'm certain that this design of... Oh! In the revised poster. Oh, this is the revised one. Yeah, I don't get it. And while I'm certain the design above was quite intentional, a lot of Chronically Online guys scoured every promotional design from GS25 to find feminist symbols. Honestly, I think many are just coincidental or completely stretching, but they had real-world impact on the franchise's impact as its revenue decreased significantly. Cut back to now, when I first saw these images supposedly containing the hand gesture, I thought these people were just batshit crazy and obsessed to accuse. However, since the designer is apparently associated with radical feminism, I think there's a possibility some were intentional. But I strongly doubt most were. Regardless, game companies recognize most of their users are men in 20 to 30s, the most strongly anti-feminist demographic, and they're unwilling to take that risk. Also, by radical feminists, I strictly am talking about TERFs and misandrists. I don't know a lot of these words. Most feminists in Korean aren't them, but they are certainly the loudest and most politically significant of the bunch. Interesting. So, let's read this. So I was still confused, right? You're still kind of confused. What's going on? Like, what does this mean? I mean, some of you may have made the connection here. So, yeah, so they would have to go through animations frame by frame to check things, because a lot of them were like, you know how Epic 7 changes frames 30,000 times in one Ultimate? Might be in one fraction of a frame there, right? So they also say handles a lot of the live 2D animations. They have exposed ties to Magalia. That's something you can probably Google. An extreme hate group in South Korea that targets men. They have been incorporating their slogans and messages in their art systemically through single frame animations in various games. So, what exactly is the hand gesture they use? There may be some, not so... I had somebody recently tell me their 7-year-old daughter watches my videos. That makes me happier than ever, but be wary of this next little bit. So they say many, including some feminists, say Megalia's tactics are unproductive and divisive. One example was the website local, which shows a thumb and a forefinger almost touching. The hand gesture is meant to mock the allegedly small size of Korean men's penises, a mirror of the constant and often cruel subjection of Korean women's appearances to male scrutiny. The mockery of Korean men's penis size is found elsewhere too, such as with the mirroring term God Western man Godyangnam, the equivalent of the sushi who was described as a progressive Western man with a large penis. Do I change my name? I'm just kidding. Feminist scholar Donna Do-eun Kim, while defending mirroring in general, calls the idealization of Western men unfortunate and suggests that it shows that fighting misogyny was just one of the motivations, but the motivations, other social injustices, were of lesser importance. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. The drama doesn't stop, but it is crazy. This is not like as something Epic 7 players need to worry about, I don't think, because obviously this is something that they're going to handle over there, and it doesn't really affect the game outside of like they did mention that somebody lost money from it before that convenience store brand, right? Like nothing's really, I don't think anything's going to happen out of this, but it is something interesting to see because there's so many subliminal messages and things. This is kind of what they're doing, right? Assuming it's intentional, which obviously they have made ties with the people in the animation studio that actively work on it with the feminist group. So the radical feminist group, I should say. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, but I thought I'd cover this because it was super weird. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe as always, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.